everyone, it's Nicole and I'm here with the 15th layout using the hip kit, the January hip kit. This layout took me 3 hours and 15 minutes to complete, and you'll see why as we go through this. I decided on doing mixed media layout, and that takes a bit of time in itself, but then I end up doing a mixed media tag and a doll, and so just a whole bunch of stuff. It was a lot of fun to do. My son had a hockey tournament this past weekend, so I didn't have too much time to work on it, but it took me 3 hours, but it took me the whole weekend because I didn't have too much time to work on it and stuff. But so basically everything, all the little bits and pieces of pattern papers that I have left, I'm just sticking them. I'm not measuring. I don't care if some of the edges, or you can see the one I just put down, it was kind of distressed. I don't care, because I know that you won't even be able to see these pattern papers in the end. And you ask, why then do you put all this together? Because it adds texture to your background. It is awesome, but it's a great way to use your bits and pieces of pattern paper, and like I said, it adds so much texture to your background once you add your mixed media to it. It's probably one of my favorite techniques to do mixed media wise, is to add bits and pieces of pattern papers like this, and then add gesso, and then just go to town with all different kinds of medias. And so I'll walk you through as I use them. So I'm just gluing down my bits of pattern paper with my Tombow Mono multi glue, and usually I use my quick dry adhesive, but lately for some reason the glue just it starts to ooze out and it doesn't stop. Most people have trouble that the glue won't come out. Well, mine, for some reason, it just oozes out, and I have to get like paper towels and dry, to stop it. And I even open the bottle because I think it's airlocked. And anyway, so I just thought I could, control the glue a little bit more. And I did order some bottles. It's not the ones that everyone's talking about, but it's got a needle tip inside. So I got 4 bottles. I got 2 of one kind and 2 of another. So I'll share when I get them and how they work, and how much they were and all that stuff. And I just figured I'd get 4 because I'm going to use it for more than one thing. Different stuff that I'm going to put into them, and try those out. So this was actually the last layout that I did with the kit. I decided to narrate it first and kind of put it up first because it's taken so much room on my computer. Now I know I have an external hard drive. I could move everything over to that, but to me that's just so much work when I can just upload it to iMovie, narrate it, put it up on YouTube, and then it just gets off my computer. I keep all the videos, those, like once they're done, like once they're processed and everything, I keep all those on my external hard drive. Because I don't know if you guys were big Ustream followers, but at some point Ustream decided to delete everything. So just in case someday YouTube decides to delete everything, I have all my videos backed up. And so I've done that since the beginning, because I remembered the panic that people that were doing Ustream at the time, how they were panicking to get those videos down, which were theirs, before Ustream got rid of them all. So I wanted to save myself that headache. So what I did was, even before I uploaded my first YouTube video, I had been planning to do YouTube videos for at least, I'd say, 8 years, 7 to 8 years. And I just kind of build up and kind of got all my stuff ready to be able to do YouTube videos, such as, you know, like the tripod, and I got myself an external hard drive. And I mean, it was in the back of my mind. Then it would come to the front of my mind again, and I'd push it away. And it's, like I said, always something I wanted to do, but I didn't know how I would feel like talking into a mic. I knew I didn't want to do a music one, because for me, and that's just for me, when I watch process videos, if it's music, I can't watch them because it doesn't keep my attention. But somebody's voice and telling me what they are doing, that keeps my attention. But the music, I find like I'll be doing something else and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I was watching a video and I forget to watch. So I knew I wanted to do a voice, like voiceovers, and you know, I didn't have the right computer for it and all this stuff. So I just got everything. I got a Mac. I got all this stuff. I got everything so that I could do YouTube videos. But anyway, that's, I guess, the long version of why I did this one before the other one, because it just takes up so much room on my computer. Now, I just waited a few minutes, waited for everything to be completely glued down, and then I took my gesso with a palette knife and I just put gesso all over. Now I did this, something very, very similar to this within the last year, I guess. It was quite a long time ago, probably 8 to 9 months ago. And I had taken scraps of pattern paper and but they were all different shapes. I'm talking like even triangles and all different shapes. And then I used masking fluid to outline each square or triangle or whatever shape there was. Then I used watercolor and I colored each shape, and then I took the masking fluid away. Now this time what I decided to do is just cover it with gesso, and again, it's covered well. I'm using my Heidi Swap mat. I love that thing. I now have two because this one here I've cut into it, but I don't want to, you know, open my new one until this one is totally wrecked. And I'm not going to throw this out. I'm going to make sure to, you know, cut it up into different sizes once it rips apart. And because I ended up taking my X-Acto knife, forgetting that it was on there. Because see, my mat that I used to cut is right underneath that same color. So I just forgot one day and cut through it. But I'm still using it until it's totally wrecked. So now I'm taking my heat gun, I'm drying the whole thing, and then, as they say, the fun begins. I'm going to be playing with gelatos, and if you go back maybe 2 or 3 videos back, I did a video how to make mist with gelatos, and it was while I was doing this layout because I wanted to make a mist out of gelatos for this layout. And what I did was I just kind of stopped the layout, put everything aside, kind of did the video for the gelatos, you know, because I was making the gelato anyway for gelato mist for this layout, and then kept going with my layout. But before I do that, I decide on a few colors, so 2 shades of purple and 2 shades of pink. And now what I'm doing is I'm outlining those squares or rectangles that I glued down previously. And in all, I have 4 shades, like I said, 2 in purple and 2 in pink. And I'm just alternating. And I'm going to go and I'm going to do all the squares. Now, right now, I'm just kind of doing one and kind of stopping. And I tried to use my finger for a little bit, but I find like, oh, it really hurts the fingers. So I just end up using a baby wipe because baby wipes are wet and it really moves that gelato really well. But then I was kind of had to keep moving spots on the baby wipe because I kept changing colors. So I thought, just do the whole thing with the different colors, and then just do all the purple, the dark purples at once, and then just do all the light purples at once, and the 2 pinks, and that really sped it up. And as you can tell, I'm not coloring it very detailed because gelatos goes a long way. So you just need a little bit, and with that baby wipe, I'm going to be able to fill all those up. And I just love, you should see like the layout now has been done for I don't know, 3 days, and it's so soft. It looks so pretty, and I love that technique. Using that technique, it just softens that gelato so well, and having gesso underneath makes it so that you can work the gelato so that it has a nice smooth finish, and I really like that. And so by putting the colors all out on the layout, then I'm able to take, I think I took out 3 or 4 baby wipes, and then I just did one color at a time. And I'm just going to do all the squares like that. And I find it's looking very bold right now, and so I'm going to tone it down. And that's the thing with mixed media layouts. You just start with a base, and then you build and build and build, and then all of a sudden you end up with something that you like. So I just took an ink blending tool, and I just put a foam on that, and then I'm just, this time I want the gesso to be just kind of soft. So instead of using a palette knife, I'm just using the ink blending tool, and I'm just putting it over everything. And also, if you haven't seen, about 1 or 2 videos ago, I did how to make your own blending tools, and it's just pieces of wood that I purchased at Michael's. And I know that, and someone mentioned that too on the video, that Snap Gonzo had done some with some cork, and I had seen that, but I had been looking for wood. I just wanted it to look as close to the original one, I guess, as I possibly could, because I like the feel of the wood piece and how it fit in my hand and everything. So that's what I was looking for. And somebody else said, oh, I wish, I had a Michael's and that I could do this. But if I wasn't able to find this, my other solution was going to get some dowel wood, and then get my husband to just cut them into circles, and then do the same thing. And then you can make it as tall, or as, you can make it 1.5 inches tall, and then the dowels, you can get them different size. So you could get a 1.5 inch dowel or a 1 inch dowel, and it would fit your sponge perfectly. And another thing I had thought of maybe doing, because the ones that come from Tim Holtz, they have the Velcro, and I just didn't feel like going and finding Velcro and all this stuff. So I just glued it with some hot glue right to my block. And I figure that by the time that the sponge is no good, I'll just scrape it off and then glue another one over top. I'm not too worried about it. And so now that the gesso's dried, what I did was I took some Distress Stain, and that came in a hip kit a couple months ago, and it's the sponge sugar. And man, if I ever use that sponge sugar a lot, it's a beautiful pink. I just love it. It just coordinates with so many layouts that I've done in the past few weeks and stuff. And so I'm just going to use my heat gun again and just dry it up. And now I'm just looking at it going, okay, what other layers can I do? And with these type of mixed media pages, I love using stamps, and I love using rub-ons and modeling paste. And this one is going to be no different. I'm going to bring all that stuff in. So I had thought of using that Dear Lizzie roller stamp that came in the kit, and I just wasn't feeling it, I guess. I wanted to go a different way. So when I'm undecided like that, I just literally walk away. So I came back, I believe it was the next day, and then I just, feel much better about the whole thing. So I take my Prima ink and a Tim Holtz stencil, and I'm just adding it all over. And this is a dilution stencil, and you just have to be careful. Like at first I was kind of going circular with the ink pad, and I was wrecking my Prima ink pad. So then what I started to do was just pouncing with it, and then it worked much better. And then I'm going to take some Kaiser stamps, and I have a whole bunch, and they're like 2" by 6", and they're only like $3.99, I believe, for each stamp, or maybe even less. And I get all mine at Simon Says Stamp, and they're perfect for mixed media. One of them was sort of a distressed texture. The other one is writing, and then the other one was circle, like dots. And now I went and got my Glitz roller stamp and some white ink, and I'm just randomly doing it all over the place. And now I'm going to do it with I guess not right away. Now I'm going to take some light paste, and I'm going to use that same template, and I'm just going to add a different texture to it with the molding paste, or light paste, I guess this one is called. Now I'm going to mix some with some pink gelato, the light paste, and I'm going to color it in, and then I'm going to do some more layers again with that. So I'm just I used a spatula just to cut the gelato. And now I'm blending it. And then I'm going to use that same Tim Holtz template, and I'm going to spread it a few places on the layout. And I just like, there's different textures. There's the pattern papers that I put to the background, and then I added gesso, and then I added gelato. Then I added some stamping. And then I added stamping in black and stamping in white. I added some ink with the stencils in white. Now I added 2 colors of molding paste. I added I didn't color it in. It was just in the white. And then I colored some in pink, and I used that. And now I'm looking at what else I can add on there. And I have a ton of rub-ons. And these rub-ons must be at least 10 years old. When I was a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, there was at one point that Stampin' Up! Had rub-ons. And I believe it was part of the celebration, or you could get rub-ons. And where I was a demonstrator, I ended up with like 10 packages. And you had 3 sets of rub-on in each package. So I have a ton of rub-on. I have black ones, white ones, green ones. And this one here was just something that I had bought. It was on sale somewhere. I had gone to a scrapbook store, and it was in their clearance. So I just bought it. And I'm not being careful at all. I'm not making sure that, usually when we do rub-ons, we make sure that it all comes off perfectly, and we're being very meticulous. But for mixed media, that's what I love. The messier the better. I just go all over and just kind of do a little bit and then lift. And now this is one of the rub-ons from Stampin' Up! I was talking about, and they still work awesome after like 10 years. They're like 10 years old, and they still work amazing. So now I'm just doing a little bit of white rub-ons all over the place, and I just touched that flower a little bit, and it's okay that the whole flower didn't go down. I would have been actually probably disappointed if the whole flower went down. I like that only part of it was transferred, because that's what I like about mixed media. And then I took the last petal and I put it somewhere else on the layout, and I really like that. So now I added a other dimension to it, which is the rub-ons. And then when I was putting my gesso, when I was doing the palette knife, I was being very not meticulous with it. I wanted ridges from the gesso, you know, to be in the background and stuff, because again, you're adding more texture. So then I thought, ooh, wouldn't it be fun to do a prima doll? So I took, well, I first stamped it out with Memento ink. Was it Memento ink? No, I stamped it out with VersaFine, and it didn't work at all. It just bled all over the place, and I didn't like it at all. And so then I took my Memento ink, black ink, and stamped it out, and then I just let it dry for a few minutes. So I turned off the recording, and now I'm going to use some gelatos, and I'm going to color it in. So I'm just putting a little bit of water. I got these little containers, and they have lids on them at the dollar store, and it's perfect for mixing. I did a video on how to make your own gelato mist, and it was perfect for that. But it's also perfect for just putting a little bit of water out there and to use, you know, for painting and stuff. So this time I'm going to paint with my gelatos. So I grabbed a paintbrush, and I'm doing a paintbrush, and I'm just going to, you know, paint in the image. And I know there's techniques to, you know, painting with your Copics and all that stuff. And I have to be honest, I totally want to be able to do that. And actually, I just signed up for, it's a self-paced class, and it's called Kit and Clowder. And Clowder is Clowder. And it's a girl from Australia, and she has all these videos. And I just signed up for the hair and skin. And so I'm going to work through that, and then I'll get the clothing after. And it's not a cheap class, but I think it's well worth it. It's got a huge, like a huge book that you can go through, and it has all the details on, you know, how to color with Copics and stuff. And also you get about 18 videos, I think. And so it's a really good class. And I just had quite a few of the Copic colors missing to do, you know, the combinations that she was asking and stuff. So those just came in. So I'm going to start playing with that and have fun with that. So, you know, in the next few months, you'll see more coloring from me, I guess. I just ordered a bunch of dolls too to color and stuff. Gorgeous Girls and Saturated Canary, and I can't wait for those to come in. And so you'll be seeing more of that kind of stuff on my layouts, because I want to start using that, because I just think it's so pretty. Now, I'm using 2 tones of purple, and then now I had a flesh gelato, and I'm doing her arms and her face, and then I have a brown, like a chocolate gelato, and I'm going to do her hair. And I am doing pictures of my daughter's prom night, and her dress was a deep navy blue, but up against these pattern papers, it looked like it had a hint of purple. And where I didn't know if I wanted to do different shades of blues or purple, but I do a lot of blue, and that's why I wanted to do purples and pinks. And her dress is blue enough that it looks purple, if that makes any sense. So I wanted to do a different color tone for me. And so I used purples and pinks, and I absolutely loved it. It was so fun to make. Very long to make. It was a 3-hour and 15-minute layout, but I still had a ton of fun. And even longer to, not longer, but quite long to narrate too, right? And it's like a 49-minute video. And I was trying to think of, you know, what I could cut out, but then I was like, well, then I'm going to have to cut out this and cut out that. And there's so much in this video, like so many different things that I added, between, adding the gesso and the gelatos in the squares, and then, smoothing them out, and then adding more gesso with the ink blending tool, and then adding some stamping in black and in white, and then adding some rub-ons. And I didn't want to have to race through everything to let you know what I had done. So I figured that it's going to take me a few sit downs of narrating, but I'll get it done. And I guess the best thing for you guys would be either if you go on the treadmill, that would be a good video to watch while you're on the treadmill, because before you know it, 15 minutes is gone. That's what I do when I'm on the treadmill. I watch either videos, YouTube videos, or I'm totally into the seasons of Bones right now. So I usually watch one episode of Bones, and then whatever is left over, I watch YouTube videos. So what I did at the very end, if you saw, I took my blue gelato and I added it to the dress so that it added a tinge of blue, and I really like that. Now I cut her out using my scissors, and because I didn't want to go too close to that fine stamping, I just left a little white edge, and now I'm taking my ink pad and or my dauber, and I'm just coloring the edges so that there's black on the edges so that you don't see the white, and I really like that. And I have to tell you, I got so messy with this layout. As you can tell, I tried to clean up as much as I could, and but there's some areas you're going to see my desk. It is a complete disaster. And when I finished the layout, I just walked away. I was just like, oh, it's such a mess. I just can't deal with it. So I waited till the next day, and then I cleaned up my scrap area, and then I actually did another layout today. So it was, a couple days later, but it was a lot of fun, but very messy. My desk is, it's not small, but it's not huge either. So I always have to keep moving stuff because it's always like in the way. So now I know I'm going to put that girl to the left, and then I'm going to put the one photo to the right. Now, for my daughter's prom, they had gone to a local park here, and did the grad pictures with the entire class, or the ones that showed up. And anyway, my daughter was there with her boyfriend at the time, and they ended up going out for 4 years. They were high school sweethearts, and they broke up about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now, I guess. And at the time, I tried to take pictures of her alone, so that I would have pictures of her in her dress alone, and she would not let me do it. She's like, no, I don't want to. And so now I knew that Prima doll, it just reminded me of her dress, like to a T. Like it looks so much like it. And I wanted to scrap it. And I'm like, well, Owen's in the picture, but I want to scrap it. So I did it anyway. But they still talk. They're not enemies or anything. So I just really wanted to scrap a photo of her prom night, or I guess that was during the day, and with that Prima doll, because I just thought, oh, that would be so pretty. And one of the tags, not a tag, it was a cut apart from the cut apart sheet. It said, today I'm excited about everything. And that was that day. Like that day, a couple days before, I paid for her to get her gel nails, like professionally done. And that was the first time she ever had her nails done. Then the day of the prom, we got our hair done, and it was so funny because where we went, the only person that could take her was a guy. And when we walked in, she goes, "Oh, Mom, I hope it's not the guy." And we sat down, and within 5 minutes, he calls her name, and she kind of looks at me because I don't know if she thought that he wouldn't be able to do her hair the way she wanted to. Anyway, he was amazing. She absolutely loved him. He did her hair. It was so beautiful. And I can't remember which actress he said that had the same hairdo. And he's won all kinds of competitions and awards and this kind of stuff. So it was funny because, she was saying that she didn't want him to do her hair. But then after the fact, a month later, she called because what he did was a prom special. He did that so that he could, I guess, do something nice for the kids, right, that were graduating. And a month later, she called to see if she could get an appointment to get her hair done. The girl couldn't afford them. So I actually kind of giggled and told her and said, "Isn't that funny? You didn't want him to do your hair and now you can't afford him." She said, "It's not funny." It actually kind of was. So, but he did a beautiful job. We just absolutely loved it. And then, okay, I had to stop the recording. I had to cough. And then we live about, 20, 25 minutes from town. So we didn't have time from the time that they were at Centennial Park and then had to be somewhere else. We didn't have time. Oh, what it was between our hair appointment and getting dressed to go to Centennial, not Centennial, but the park. We didn't have time to go home. So we ended up going. I asked at work if we could go in one of the rooms, the extra rooms, and see if they could change there. And it was so fun. We had so much fun laughing, and it was perfect because my work is literally less than 5 minutes away from this park, and that's walking. And so we went there, and they got dressed, and then we went and, we got the pictures done, and I took a whole bunch of pictures of her and her boyfriend at the time, her and Owen, and then her and her friends. And then I took them from there and I quickly brought them somewhere to get something to eat because then we had to go to the next thing. And then I had to bring them to the prom, and then they were there for 4 or 5 hours, and then it was grad night. And you had to bring them to this school, and then they would all load on a bus, and they weren't allowed to bring anything. It was only what they had on them, and no backpack, no nothing, because they wanted to make sure it was safe grad, so no drinking or anything. And then they brought them to this second location on a bus, and they had fun stuff all night. So they had a blast. So I had to get up at 1 o'clock in the morning, go pick them up from the prom, drive them to the bus so that they could go to the third place, and then come back at 6 o'clock in the morning to pick them up because they had brought them back to the first school. Anyway, so it was kind of a busy, crazy night for me, but it was worth it. They had so much fun, and they had a blast. So now I went into my stash, and this stuff is old. They're I Am Roses, and it's a site, it's overseas somewhere, and I haven't ordered from them in forever and a day. It must be over 3 years, but I have all these roses, and I bought most of them in white so that I could color them. Now, prior to this part, I did my video to show you how I made my gelato sprays or mist. And that's the reason that I did that, was so that I could mist these flowers. And I just showed you quickly. I did one mist, and if you want to go see my video, I did one mist that I just added water. Then the other mist, the pink mist, I did gelato, water, and some acrylic matte medium. And what a difference. It totally makes it so that it's way more opaque with the acrylic matte medium. And another thing that I noticed that I didn't have time to do in the video, of course, because I had just done them, but my purple one was almost empty, and I noticed there was still quite a bit of color in there, so I just added more water, and basically I was able to like get kind of double duty with that one time that I filled it up, because it was so full of color that I was able to basically refill my mist. And so I'm going to get another use out of that. So there's all this color goodness on the mat, and I didn't want to waste it. So I just grabbed one of my tags that I had in my stash. Now, if I would have thought about it, like, because this was literally a last minute decision, I was like, oh, I can't let this go to waste. So I grabbed a manila tag and I just start, putting it through the ink, and then I kind of did the edges, and I'm going to add some pink to it. But I think I would have added gesso first and then built on, because it would totally match my background a whole lot more if I did that. But it still looks awesome. I absolutely love it. So now I'm going to add some pink because I want it to be pink and purple. I am going to dry it up, and then I'm going to stamp on it, and I'm going to use my StazOn. And I turned off the recording because I couldn't find my StazOn, first of all, which it was sitting right in front of my face, but I couldn't find it. And then it was dry, so I wanted to refill it, and I didn't want to do all that on camera. So I took one of my Kaiser stamps again, and this is a different one. It's a film strip one, and I'm just putting some texture to the tag, and I'm going to clean off those stamps right away. And I have StazOn cleaner, but if you take your baby wipe right away, it does a pretty good job. Now I'm going to add some of those flowers to my tag. And another thing I did too was plug in my heat gun, and because I'm going to use hot glue to glue those flowers on. And somebody asked me where I got that hot glue gun, and I got it at Michael's, just in the glue gun section. And it's a pretty good glue gun. I like it that it stands, and so that you don't have to wonder about it falling over. It just sits. It has a little stand and it sits by itself. So like I said, in the glue gun section at Michael's. And make sure that you check both places, because there's the glue section where the adhesives are, and then there's a glue gun section also where the flower section is. So sometimes they'll have the glue gun in one spot and not at the other. So I would check out both areas. Now I cut down one of those tags that came from Dear Lizzie's Serendipity, the one that said happy, and I just cut the word happy, and I'm going to stick it there. And I did the spray mist on 3 of the flowers, but I'm going to end up using 2, one purple, one pink, and then I'm going to use just a plain white one. And then I also spray mist some of the smaller flowers, and I'm going to use those. And this is where I decide to cut apart that card. I just didn't like all that white. It was just too white for how the rest of the layout was. So I'm just going to take a few minutes and cut that out. And then another thing that I got from I Am Roses was those little sprays of flowers, and that I'm going to put it right next to the girl. And I'm going to put a few layers of pattern paper behind that girl, and that's going to be it. Like, the major part of this layout is the background. And before we get to the end too, I have this big dilemma. I don't know if I like the page better with the tag or without the tag. So at the end of the video, when I'm showing the close-ups, I took a picture, because the tag is really easy to take off. So I took a picture with the tag off, and then I took a picture with the tag on. I think I'm leaning more and more with the tag on. I even ended up asking my son and my husband. And of course, one said with and one said without. So that was no big help. And, but I think the reason I even thought of off is because I love that background, and I hate that, you know, the tag covers a big piece of it. But I love that tag. It was so fun to make. I haven't played with those I Am Roses in so long, so it was fun. It was fun to use. Now I mounted my photo on some black cardstock, and now I'm going to use some of that transparency, and I'm just going to use a bit of it, and it's just going to pop behind the photo. And I know I'm going to use that spray there right next to, well, in between the paper doll and the picture. And I'm going to add a few extra little tiny flowers in the cluster, and then I'm going to make a small cluster at the top of the tag too, sort of in the opposite direction. And you're going to see here in a few minutes, I totally take a layer of skin off my finger. Years ago, I used to get up in the morning. The first thing I would do before I'd go make my coffee or anything, I'd go and plug in my hot glue gun. I used to use my hot glue gun every day, 10 hours a day. And my husband would, like, every night say, "Is your hot glue gun off?" Because I used to use it all the time. And then all of a sudden, I just kind of stopped using it. I just, you know, got a few more adhesives. I got my ETG gun. I got my quick dry adhesive, my Tombow Mono, and I have Stampin' Up, and, you know, all this stuff. So I kind of stopped using it. And I think the main reason is I stopped making, and score tape. That was the biggest thing, because I used to make a lot of mini albums, and so I used to use a lot of hot glue gun, but then I started using score tape, and so that kind of replaced the hot glue gun too. But anyway, so I don't know, I didn't respect the glue gun anymore. Because you're going to see that I am going to put my finger right in the hot glue, and it's like, ouch, like right here. Ow. What did you do that for? And I'm like, oh, you can tell that I have not used hot glue in a long time. So, you know, don't forget, you got to respect that glue gun, because man, oh man, it'll take your fingerprint away. So I ended up with a big blister there, but it's all better now. But it's like, yeah, you gotta respect that glue gun. So of course, when I did that, I kind of jumped, and a big splat of glue went down on my dress. And the thing is, with hot glue, if that happens, don't panic, don't touch it right away, because if you touch it, you're gonna smear it. Let it dry where it is, and then peel it off. And then if you have damage, it's very small, instead of having glue smeared all over the place. So I had kind of lifted a little piece of the paper on the dress. So I just took my gelato and recolored it. Now the title for this page is going to be Princess for a Day. And I'm going to debate back and forth. Where am I going to put that title? I thought maybe of putting Princess on top of the picture, and then For a Day on the tag, but I didn't like the way that looked. And then I thought of putting it to the top left of the layout, and that's where it eventually is going to go. But then I'm going to move it down again and try it Princess for a Day, Princess above the photo, and then For a Day right on top of the picture. And then while I was thinking about that, because I can waste so much time with stuff like that, so what I ended up doing was saying, okay, you don't know where it's going to go, move on. So I take out all my Martha Stewart's butterfly punches, and I start punching butterflies. And I know I want to use some butterflies on this layout, because to me, flowers, butterflies, you know, they all kind of go together. And I haven't used butterflies on a layout in like so long, and I used to put butterflies on almost everything. If you go back to my earliest videos, which by the way, I think this is going to be 300, it's over 390 videos. So if you're new to my channel, you can go back, and I have 390 videos. I think what I'm going to do is, you know how I have playlist on my channel? I'm going to go back and I'm going to put process video 1 to 100, and then 101 to 200, and 201 to 300. So if you're new to, because I get new subscribers, daily. So if you're new to my channel, it's going to be easier to know, okay, well, I'm in the first 100 if you want to go back and watch it, and then the second, 200 to 300, 300 to, and just make it so that it's more separated. But I also have it separated in playlists as far as, I scrap a lot with kits, so I have it divided by kits too. Different kits: Studio Calico, Scraptastic, and those are 2 past kits that I used to get. And now I'm a Hip Kit Club member, so now I'm doing layouts with my Hip Kits. And I do want the butterflies to have sort of a little lift, so I'm going to add some foam tape in behind the wings and kind of lift them up. And I'm going to put one of the butterfly at the top of the layout next to the title, and it's going to help ground that top part of the layout. And then I was going to use twine to make the path of the butterfly flight, and then I decided, nope, I love that there's rub-ons and all this stuff. So what I ended up doing is just using a pen, and I did the flight of the butterfly that way. Now I found that the image that I colored, I really loved it, but it was really flat. So I went and got my matte medium, and I just put a coat over the whole thing, and it is so pretty now. It's not a glossy, it's very matte, but it's so pretty. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's soft to touch, and it helped with the shadows that I tried to create in the dress, because what I did was I used some of the gelatos, and I went back and tried to create shadows and highlights in her hair, and it really helped with that. It really brought it out. And now I went into my stash and took some enamel dots, and because at this point I had used all the enamel dots that had come in the kit, so I'm pulling out some purple and pink ones, and I'm going to make a big cluster at the top where it says Princess for a Day, only because I'm really trying to ground that top portion of the layout, because I didn't want it to look like the title was floating. Okay, so the video is coming to an end. So if you are still here, first of all, thank you. I know this was a long video, and I hope that I showed something new that you hadn't seen before, and that you learned something with this video. This was almost like a class, wasn't it? It was 50 minutes long, but it was so much fun, and I couldn't wait to share with all of you. And again, if you wouldn't mind leaving in the comments whether you like it without the tag or with the tag. So you can just put with or without the tag. And like I said, I think I'm going to vote for with the tag, just because I just love that tag. And here is a close-up of that tag, and those flowers are so pretty. And yes, there's a lot of dimension, but what I'm going to do is put it at the front of an album. So that's it. The page is done. So thanks for watching. Bye.